Where Arts and Adventure summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. I am R. Brandon Long, along with
Todd Oberndorfer.
And we are your hosts for, I dare anyone to argue with us, the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land.
I got one.
Hands down.
I got one right off the top of my head. I've been listening to this other show for a while.
You have not, Todd. You're cheating on your own show.
They call themselves the greatest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're neck and neck with one another. Okay. So that's pretty good, I think.
All right. Well, the best thing about that line is that Todd doesn't even listen to our own show. Just so you know.
Oh, man.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm listening. I
participated. Why
participated?
Experience.
Yeah.
I'm present.
So anyway, our guests.
Plus, have you heard your voice? Like, seriously. One time. I'm not going to go back and listen.
I have to listen to it 3 times.
You listen to it, yeah, both our voices all the time.
I can't. I hate it, but that's what I got to do. Our guests today are Reide, Thompson, and Cecily Kiss, representing Ogden Downtown Alliance and the Ogden Arts Festival, or you're producing the Ogden Arts Festival for the first time this year. Not that the Ogden Arts Festival is new this year. This is the first time it's in your hands. How's the weight feel? Are you nervous?
Oh man, that's a loaded question.
Yes.
I think it's a lot to take on a new event, especially we have a pretty new team at the Ogden Downtown Alliance as well. So we're really planning 3 events at once with very few people that had ever been a part of any of them. So we have the Farmers Market, Historic 25th Street Car Show, and Ogden Arts Festival all in the works at once. So It's a lot, but it's a really exciting, and the team is really jazzed about sinking their teeth into what was the event, what was great about it, what do we need to make sure we bring back, and then what's new that we can add to it to kind of put our own spin on it and make sure it's really reflective of the community and of our local arts culture here in Ogden.
So that is the Ogden Arts Festival, which is going to be in late July. And we were talking about this. You got to bring your own fan or whatever. Bring lots of water. It's going to be warm. But did either one of you volunteer or work at the festival before?
Yeah,
okay.
So I was a part in 2023. So 2024 was the year that it didn't happen. It was canceled.
It had to skip a year.
It skipped a year, yeah. But in 2023, I had the opportunity to be a part of the planning committee for it. So had a great opportunity to work with Danielle Benedelli and Amir Jackson and the entire planning committee that had been doing it for multiple years, and learn from them and get to see what they do. And they've both been really great mentors in helping the Downtown Alliance kind of take over the event and learn about what was working and what wasn't working. And just, I love about our community is it's not really a gatekeeping community. It's very much a, hey, let's help build stronger together. Well,
that's important because it's a big event. Mm-hmm. And if they just they meaning whoever was in charge before just dumps it or leaves, or either way, and then you've got to take it over. It's like, oh my gosh, what were they doing right? Where could they improve on? And so if there's at least some communication, that's got to be helpful.
Absolutely. And people care about this event. The past organizers care, the planning committee that was a part of it in the past, and we're still working on reaching out to multiple folks and get everybody in the right roles and responsibilities to bring this festival to life this year. But it's important for the community, our local artist scene, both on the entertainment and musician side and dance and performances, as well as the visual arts and those that are coming to sell their work. We want to do it right. We want to do it justice, and we want it to build bigger and greater and better as we go throughout the years.
Okay, so in your heads, it goes perfectly. What does that look like?
Ooh, I would say
for this year, because it always can grow. But this year, because it's the first year, what does it look like?
I would say first and foremost, happy artists, right? I want to see a lot of people,
sales,
a lot of sales. Yep, everybody making money, butts in seats at performances, all of the good things to help support their local arts community. I think there's a lot of excitement for it to be back. Anytime you take something away from the community for some time, people miss it and they appreciate it a little bit differently. And so we're really excited to see it come back and hope we get some really good traction of people attending and buying art and supporting artists and the culture here. Yeah.
Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had a
hold on. I want everybody to kind of feel like they're with us. I was saving this to.
Oh, yeah. We need beer time.
Well, so that was pretty good. I think that sounded good.
That was satisfying.
This is Sierra Nevada, sponsored by me. But we're always looking for sponsors, just so you know.
Yes.
Okay, so what do you know about
sponsored by me?
how far back does this transition go? The conversations to switch from this group running it for all these years to this group running it for all these years?
It's definitely been multiple months in the works. I know, myself personally, when I kind of started to hear the news that it might not happen in 2024, wanted to, meet with Danielle and Amir and the past organizers and kind of really understand the why and the, what's the pause for? Is it a pause or it's gone forever? And just lend a however I can help be a part of bringing it back for the community in whatever sense that looks like. Want to make sure it comes back. And so that was actually predates me being with the Ogden Downtown Alliance. So it was really cool, just synergistic fit when they were ready to pass it off to new organizers and kind of let some new people take the reins and see where it can go from there. Lined up really well with the trajectory where the Downtown Alliance was going and how we're leaning into both being an incubation space through our events for small businesses as well as for local entertainers and performers and artists, looking to get into the space of selling art, but also supporting that kind of that fine art, higher end work that you don't always see out on the streets on all of the wonderful markets and stuff that we have going on here in Ogden. And so it was cool to, everything kind of come full circle and felt like it was a really great fit for the Downtown Alliance and where we're moving and where we want to be supporting our local community in.
Well, then you also thought that, the Downtown Alliance has like this giant staff and loads of money, and you're not already doing tons of events. You're like, how could I spend all of this time that we have, that we sit around and we play cards and we watch television?
Oh yeah.
How are you fitting this into your load? That's kind of the big question, because I know how much you already
They hired Cecily.
It's me. I'm doing all of it, guys.
Done. There's your answer.
Not at all.
There.
Not at all.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift, especially the first time you're doing an event at any point, and with new teams in different areas. Just getting it off the ground the first year is always the hardest. And then after you do that, you start to line up the people in the community, the supporters that can take different pieces of it and really own it and put their own spin and just, kind of give pieces away and let people run with it as long as you've laid that groundwork for it to be successful. So this year, I won't lie, it's a heavy lift. It's a lot of work, a lot of heart, a lot of hours are going into it. My favorite question to answer is people ask, like, well, what do you do in the off season? And there is no off season. You might not be doing events at that moment, but you're doing all of the planning, all of the fundraising, all of the grant writing, building that infrastructure so that we can pay artists and entertainers to be at the event, as well as recruit artists who want to come and vend and sell their work. So how we do it, I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe ask us in a couple months when we're on the other side of it. But we're doing it, and everybody's really excited about it. And so it's been great to kind of add that into the Downtown Alliance's lineup and make sure it happens for the community.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's truly a labor of love, and we're all running around feeling crazy, and we have so much going on. But at the end of the day, being able to keep this amazing event that adds so much vibrancy to our downtown community. We're a scrappy team, and we're tired, but we're not willing to let that go. And we want to make sure that we continue these events and this legacy and build upon it and continue to have a space for the arts in Ogden.
So you're like 2-3 months out now. So does that mean you're still wrapping up schedules and things like that? Are you still having like dream meetings of things that you would love to have, or are you starting to nail some things down?
Yes, and the answer to that. Yes, and so where we are in the process right now is, the artist applications just closed last week. And so now we're in the jurying process. So we have some volunteers and some other community members that are helping us go through the applications to kind of score them, see who, because we don't have space to accommodate everybody. So we're kind of trying to make sure that we have a really well curated art event that's in line with the mission and the vision of the festival. So we have some members that are helping that while we're planning with other community organizers and community partners that have been a part of the festival in the past, and doing a lot of outreach to people who've been a part of this event for a long time, but just with a year gap, need to kind of knock on some more doors and make sure that everybody knows it's coming back and that they are welcome and have a place as part of the event, and that this is really a celebration of the arts for our entire community. And so it's a lot of relationship building at this point right now, and a lot of meetings and a lot of people on the list that we need to still reach out to make sure sure that they're invited into the fold and that they're kind of taking that piece and putting their own spin and magic on it.
Yeah.
Good answer. Okay, so we're a room full of arts leaders, administrators. That's what I do, 9 to 5 specifically. And so I think that there's so much behind the scenes that people don't know about. And I think that that's fine, honestly. If they can show up and the event's going like it always should type of thing, that's totally fine. But this is a good opportunity for us to kind of pull behind the curtain just a little bit and to find out a little bit about how this whole thing is put together and how it's made. And so speak a little bit more about that application process, that it is closed now, but you'll be back next year. Mm-hmm. How long is that process open? How many artists applied? What's that process of becoming, part of your jury? Tell us just a little bit more about who gets into the festival and how that happened.
Sure. So it depends. Different arts festivals do things a little bit differently in terms of how long before the event they open their applications. If that's a 8-month period, if it's
Todd
a
has a
2-month
phone
period.
call. He doesn't have to go to the bathroom. I'm just making sure that clear that up real quick. Sorry. Continue.
Everybody
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, it can be a varying different length of process depending on the arts festival and how large it is and whether it's a kind of a tourism draw, meaning that you have to kind of get in line with the schedule of other artists that are going from state to state versus
that's
more
a
of
thing,
a local one.
right?
It is. And it makes choosing dates really challenging. So that was something that we faced this year with needing to move the date from June to July, is that kind of messes up the schedule of some of the artists that have been involved in the past and where they kind of hit different spots.
Well, that was my one of my questions was, is this for locals only, or are you inviting out-of-state artists to participate, or out-of-city even?
Yeah, so everybody is invited, of course, to apply and participate. As the festival grows and as we get more applications, we'll probably need to start putting in some guidelines to make sure that we are valuing and have enough spaces for our locals. Where it stands now, I would say it does lean more locally focused, but we do have multiple out-of-state applicants. I think we had about 20 out-of-state applicants or people from, further down south in southern Utah and just kind of the general ranges. So I'd say it's regional versus specifically local.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so you'll see new things there, but you'll also see friendly faces that you get to see around town all the time.
Good. No, that's a perfect mix. It's a good blend. And then I think we should probably learn a little bit about ODA and go backtrack a little bit and the experience with Ogden Downtown Alliance and events, because it feels like, and I'm this is supposed to be a compliment, that the farmers market just runs on its own. It just does its own thing,
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish.
Because it's all smooth and stuff. So, what was that process, and what are some of the events that you've had to produce over the years that have prepared you to now take on this new festival?
Yeah. Certainly the farmers market is a huge undertaking in itself. And a question I get a lot when people ask of well, how do you choose what events you take on as a Downtown Alliance and which ones you don't? And where we're kind of situated now is looking at, what are those big events that are economic drivers for the community that are also in alignment with our mission of supporting, economic vitality and vibrancy downtown, and finding that right balance between, uplifting new event organizers for kind of some of different spaces. ODA used to be a part in the Ogden Beer Festival, and now we have new producers taking that over and just kind of incubating different events and spaces. But where we are today, the farmers market in itself takes a lot of resources on our team and on the community to pull off, because the event's grown over the years. We have over 200 vendors on the street every Saturday for 22 weeks straight. So it's a marathon, not a sprint, to get through it. But we have about 400 applications that come through for the farmers market. And so we have some that are full season that come and they're there the whole season. And then others, we have kind of weekly drop-ins. So last year, I think we had about 350 vendors, unique vendors throughout the season that are being a part of that. So that's weekly coordination. Yeah. And that takes a lot of bandwidth on our staff. And to pull off with closing the streets, we close 7 streets on our own. That's our staff that does all of the road closures, all the volunteer organization that we need to recruit enough people to help with traffic control, run the info booth, run the SNAP and EBT programs that happen as part of it. So that's been a big learning curve for me, coming from the Goal Foundation and doing the Ogden Marathon and different large kind of single day events, to transition my brain over. You plan 6 months to a year out for a really large event to, okay, now we have a very large event every single Saturday, and we're planning other single day large events on top of that.
Yeah.
So it is quite the balancing act and juggling to just kind of make sure that you have all the boxes checked on the permits and the licensing, but really that you cultivate relationships and a culture within every event so that they all feel unique. And so you don't feel like you're having the same experience everywhere you go, that you feel very different at the farmer's market than at the car show, than at Harvest Moon Celebration and Arts Festival. They're all going to have their own identity that is representative of the community that we serve.
Yeah. Boy, that people in Ogden love their cars. That car festival's a thing too.
It is.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Yeah. And that's getting closer to selling out. I think we have about 50 spots left.
And is that first Friday as well in June?
Yep.
I want to say? Okay.
That's June 6th this
That's
year.
my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. You're going to celebrate at
Car
the car
show.
show?
Yeah,
we'll
it's
be
a
here.
Oh, yeah,
So
you'll be here.
We'll be
You'll
here.
be here. And
You
it's
putting hydraulics in the van?
On the way, yeah. Yeah. I got my guy. He's going to do.
I would
Yeah.
love
You got a
that
vinyl
so
guy.
much.
I got a hydraulics guy. We're gonna.
I love that so much. Okay, so this is coming from me, but this is also coming from a place of love. I've been kind of in that position 15 plus years in Ogden as far as trying to kind of move the needle, change, evolution. This is where I come from. Like I need more of that each year, right? But Ogden, which I also love, loves its routine. It loves its traditions. It loves its sameness, right? And so if we want some long-term sort of evolution or change for people like myself, for instance, the Dumpke Arts Plaza, that took years and years and years and years and years and years. The Nine Rails Creative District took years and years and years. These are long.
We're trying to keep Todd in town here.
These are long-term projects, and I like the long-term projects. I have no problem with really kind of slow change. But for instance, I feel strongly about the Arts Festival. I work for the Arts Council. We don't directly do the Salt Lake Festival, but I'm definitely involved with that as well. And so I would love
You
to
should clarify. You work for the Salt Lake Arts Council, but are also a board member on the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee. As was I. We both chaired it.
for Ogden, yeah.
For Ogden, yeah. So, which neither are involved necessarily in
directly with
with
but we
the
all support
festival,
artists. That's what we do. We support artists. And so here's where I'm at was what can we do, Brandon and I, Banyan, this show, to assist in sort of the evolution of the Arts Festival and any new initiatives that you have in your little, I'm sure you have sort of pitch meetings where you would love to try some new ideas. Now, the first year, I'm sure trying, to attack this festival on top of everything else, I think just producing the festival that's fantastic, right? But are there any ideas that y'all have
yeah.
that there might be a little bit of resistance? When I say resistance, you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean here. But what can we do to sort of champion your ideas on our side? Because it's that kind of support that you need in a town that can be amazing but incredibly stubborn, Ogden. But I mean that in the best way. We love what we love, but new ideas are also very important.
Absolutely. I think, so I'll kind of start long term and then come closer into what we're trying to pull off this year. So long term, what our goal and plan with this event is to actually use the Arts Festival to help ground the Nine Rails Creative District and move it to the Nine Rails District when Lester Park is ready for done with some renovations and ready to be programmed in that capacity. And so in order to get there, that will be a much higher expense for us to move it to a park because Union Station is easier to fence off for a beer garden and it's got an enclosed space and there's bathroom facilities on site and all of, there's more infrastructure there. However, it means that we can't grow it any larger. The space is what the space is. And so there's some pros and some cons to that. And so long term, we want to bring it to the Nine Rails Creative District and help use the Arts Festival to further that long-term mission of seeing what can a creative district be in a downtown area and what is Ogden's identity through that. But some of the steps getting there and some ideas that we have along the way that we'd like to pull off is starting to incorporate more art forms that there hasn't been the capacity in that facility to house, like film festivals or documentary, and just kind of broadening our horizons on what is art and how do we experience it.
Yeah.
That is something that we probably won't be able to pull off this year, unfortunately, just because, like you said, just getting it off the ground is a huge lift.
Oh, I have a suggestion.
Do you? Okay.
Well, we had on
No bad ideas, but let's see.
No bad idea.
But let's see.
Let us see.
Does it come with volunteer labor to pull it off?
Yeah, it actually does.
Okay, great.
So we had on Weber State last week, Weber State outdoor program, and I think I was reminded, because I think I knew this at one point and then I forgot, but the Ogden Climbing Festival was originally it was like Climbing and Arts Festival.
This is true.
Before it and then Daniel in the outdoor program is producing it. What they say, like it's a lot of years. I can't remember how many years it was this year, but
Do I want to say 40? Does that sound right?
no, like 18 or something. But because we're going on 15, 18.
That's what I meant. 18.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they have they just focus on the climbing part, and I suggested to them, well, what do you do on the art side? And they're like, well, we haven't thought about it. We haven't brought it in. I'm like, well, that's an opportunity. And so, involving Weber State, which you probably do, you probably have a relationship with Weber State already, but they have connections to the adventure side of things, and they need help connecting to the arts side of things in the Nine Roads Arts District. And I know when I'm no longer on the board for the Ogden City Arts Advisory Committee, but one of the things that they're in charge of is First Friday. And I don't know how many times we've tried to get Weber State and Historic 25th Street to align on First Fridays to like bring the bus down, bring kids down, to make those relationships better. I don't know. So maybe there's some opportunity there.
We're convinced that there's a connection between arts and adventure. This is what we're trying to say.
We're all in, Todd.
Heard that's a thing.
We've invested 15 years of our lives into it. We're convinced that there's a connection there.
We're going down to the ship.
I hear they're the best podcast too, or something.
Yeah,
The
the greatest.
The greatest.
The greatest.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I got you. I heard it was greatest.
We started out, we're just like, we're fine. But
We're
now we're
we're
up to
pretty good, but
Just
now
okay.
the
we're
greatest. We're the greatest.
God, that's funny. Yeah.
love
Okay,
that.
so there's that suggestion.
I love that, and those are definitely the type of partnerships that we're looking to bring
Absolutely.
and like bring into the event to also expand horizons and inspire new people, new generation, as well as people that maybe don't feel that an arts festival is a space for them or something that they might be interested in, to help kind of bring more people to the event to experience the art through multiple modalities.
Was that a long way of me saying an arts and adventure festival would be dope?
I mean,
I don't.
Maybe that is a
Maybe.
thing. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
exactly.
just throwing it out there.
But you do make a really good point, because a lot of people do make that assumption. And if you sit in on even one Ogden City Arts Advisory meeting, you will be reminded very quickly. You think of art, sometimes you think of visual arts. Visual art is like just a drop in the bucket of the arts that could be represented at an arts festival, right? So that you were talking about a film and so 2D and 3D and dance
Furniture
and music and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many different components that can be involved in it in the future. And I've helped with the Utah Arts Festival for a couple of years on a volunteer basis and a seasonal basis, and been to a lot of arts festivals all across the US. That's just kind of one of my little passion projects, is seeing how do other people do this, and how I just love
Now
the
you get
energy.
paid to do that.
I know. It's really exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
And I also give a lot of free labor to a lot of other events because I just love it so much.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool way to just see people come together and experience art in a whole different way than what you would experience in a museum or a gallery, where maybe you are just kind of exposed to fine art or just to visual art. Maybe you have a little interactive experience here or there, but a festival environment just kind of, I don't know, I feel like it kind of removes a barrier for a lot of people, where you can be loud and crazy a little bit and you don't have to be silent and meek while you experience the art. But we're looking also to bring in some more interactive elements into the event. I think there was a lot of really great infrastructure that was built there, and so we just want to kind of piggyback on what was working, but add some new fun ideas. So one area that we're hoping to pull off this year is have some spaces indoor that are kind of like a little mini dreamscapes type of hallway or something, where you just walk through and you have an immersive or creative experience where you get to see the art, be a part of the art, contribute to the art, whether it's leaving a little note or adding your paint script, painting a letter on a community mural. Those are kind of ways that I feel are really good bridge makers between people that maybe don't consider themselves an artist or a creative, that get to hold a paintbrush and contribute to something larger for themselves. So we're definitely looking for more community partners who can help kind of brainstorm ideas and also execute on those ideas to add some more vibrancy and just like little unique pockets throughout the event that will kind of help bring that. Similar to Harvest Moon celebration last year, we built a living room in the middle of the street, and one of our staff members, Josh, sourced all of these vintage 70s couches from Facebook Marketplace, and we put down a rug and had little twinkle lights and had games, and we called it the Rec Room. And it was such a fun experience that you would never get on any other day on 25th Street. And it was a memory making moment, a photo moment, something that's going to be a part of people's families' memory books for years to come. And so we just really want to find what's unique for that at the Arts Festival that we can just add into the vibrancy of what we do.
That's so funny. I'm immediately thinking, I'll bet I could find a couch on the street on wall, but not further up. I think we're coming this direction. So.
Oh my God.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have any storage space for those things. So the couches have now been resold. But
I like that.
It was really cool. And so that level of creativity that came out of our team.
I kind of love that. You can't even store it. You just got to get rid of it. Like,
yeah.
One and done. Next year will be something else.
Exactly. And
that's how those projects work. Yeah.
We want to have those little things that they're as much of an experience as people coming to the festival as they are for the volunteers and the staff members that create that experience for the community. And so it's just thinking on like what impact do you leave, what long-term planning do you leave when you organize mass events like these? Yes, it's for everybody who comes and experiences it, but it's also for the people that are even more involved in helping produce it. And what does that inspire them for their next step in their journey? And that's certainly what my journey has been into events and into the arts world. Beyond, growing up in performing arts and then moving into visual arts and into event production is, every little step along the way, it gets you closer to maybe something that you might be really passionate about. So we want to make sure that we have the opportunity to expand that for community members that aren't artists but are art adjacent to be involved, as well as through building out what was already existing, but we're kind of building more structure around it and hoping to amplify it, is a new emerging artist program this year. So we're working with multiple community leaders, and as we grow this, we'd love to have it in performing arts and visual arts and music and entertainment, and line up mentors with folks that are just getting into the industry or just getting into the performance space, and giving them the opportunity to be mentored by somebody who's a veteran in our community that has connections, that has like, hey, here's the things to be nervous about and here's the things to not be nervous about, as well as provide some of the visual artists with a little bit of a stipend so that they can purchase some prints of their artwork and just kind of help them be successful on their first debut in a festival space.
Oh, I love that.
Really
now, if you run across any young media artists, send them our way and we'll talk them out of doing that. But we can provide
I'll talk
some
them into
guidance
doing it,
sure.
because I just won't talk them into them thinking they're going to make a living doing it.
Well, maybe not immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
We can
Eventually.
strategy.
Yeah.
But the mentorship is always such a good idea.
It is.
Yeah.
I do want to host a meetup for a bunch of art adjacent folks. I think that would be
Love that.
fun, where they're like, yeah, I don't even know what art it. What do you mean art? And then we just like, well, you're going to like it. And let me show you why. You're art adjacent. And then we take them through the arts in Ogden.
Yeah, and more times than not, it's just probably just taking out a wall that artists didn't put up. Like they put it up. So meaning that separation between them and whatever it is that they might be afraid of is not created by the artists and the arts leaders. And I think
we've won arts awards for doing this. This is like a thing.
Yeah.
So it can be
give out awards to everybody.
Yeah.
That's what we say. Yeah. What's the volunteer situation? You still looking for volunteers?
Yeah, so we haven't opened our general volunteers yet. We'll do that about a month out from the event. So those are kind of for the pop-in shifts for, I want to come and volunteer for 3 or 4 hours. So we'll open those up as we get a little bit closer. Right now we are working on, it's been a heavy lift getting things going. So I'm feeling like we're a little bit behind where we will want to be next year in the process, but really bringing and formalizing that committee. So
Reid, how long have you been with ODA? 1 year?
1 year, actually. Yeah, 1 year as of last month.
Not very long. And Sess, you just started, right?
2 months.
2 months.
So we've accomplished a lot. We've tackled a lot of really big projects in a short amount of time. And so it's I know nobody has that internal time clock, but that me of like feeling like we're late. But just we're really formalizing.
You gotta have that though.
Right now. You do.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you're a little behind. And you know where.
I know. Thank you for
kind of work on
validating
that a little bit. That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, well, come talk to me next time this year, and we'll report back on how successful that's been.
Oh, we will definitely have a conversation afterwards. I think that's a great idea. Now, the biggest thing that we can do is to get people as involved as much as they can. That's why volunteering is. I know we're ways out, but that's a good way. Maybe you have always wanted to get a little bit more involved, or maybe you're an artist and you see this as a thing that you couldn't be part of, and the truth is you can, right? And I love the fact that this is your first year, Oda's first year doing this, and so this is a really good opportunity if somebody's listening right now and they have ideas. Well, bring your ideas over to Oda.
Well, yeah, that was one of my questions. Is I'm sure you get feedback from the artists. I mean, you haven't done this particular festival, but from the farmers market and the booths and stuff. But how do you? That was my question. Was how do you get the feedback from?
Feedback's always good.
Yeah, from the community itself. How do you get that?
Surveys is a big way that we do it, as well as honestly looking at the comment section on social media. You get a lot of feedback from, or if you end up on you're on from Ogden. So definitely surveys, both for the attendees as well as for the artists, to make sure that if there's something that we can do to make their experience better, that we capture that, as well as communication and conversations with people in the community. And I think a lot of it is just creating a culture and awareness that you are open to feedback, so that as you have conversations with different people that have different connections than you, that starts to permeate in a community, and people feel that there's openness to be responsive, so that they're more willing to share that feedback in a constructive way, where maybe they wouldn't fill out a survey, but they would meet for coffee and say, hey, I have this idea, or this is something that we really feel that you missed the mark on. If you position yourselves to be really open and listening, and willing to hear what people's concerns are or what they love the most about it, then I think that's always a really good way to supplement what you can gather with more traditional surveys.
And there's always a good art to leaving suggestions as well. So if you're on the other side,
this place sucks,
trolls. But if you're going to say you suck, but say you suck because of or and,
yes,
right.
I would suggest this, or this. I think that people have gotten lazy in their suggestions and their feedback, and so just kind of open that up a little bit. Let's unpack the you
peel
suck,
that onion,
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because this is a really good. It's such an easy place. Ogden, the festivals that we put together, most of the events that happen here, it's a really good place to.
I mean, serve beer
offer
and
real
they'll come.
suggestions.
So that solves a lot of the problems.
Yeah,
but
I'll always remember when I first moved to Utah in the mid '90s. I saw this before I knew what RC Willie was, but on whatever day it was, that probably closed Sunday. So Saturday, there was a line going around the building, and I'm like, "What kind of event is happening? Is it live music or something?"
no,
Free hot dogs.
free hot
right?
Free hot dogs.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that's all it took. And so I waited in line. I'm like, these must be incredible hot dogs, right? RC Willie, they're not incredible hot dogs, but they were free. Everybody waited in line together. There is something about that whole community part.
There's some free hot dog camaraderie that goes on. So
Special hot dog water. I think it was something in the water
God.
specifically. Yeah.
The power of free.
People come together and they do like free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Free
exactly.
hot dogs will get you.
Well, I can't promise that at the Arts Festival this year, but I don't know if
No,
the
but
right
is
sponsor comes into
There's
place.
food, right?
Yeah.
Like
There is
okay.
food. Yep. So there,
This
and
is
it
important.
is a beer garden, which is
Ah.
really exciting for us, because currently under our lineup, the only other event that we have beer at is Harvest Moon Celebration. So we're excited to have Ogden Arts Festival that will have that component as well, because that does add another layer of enjoyment that keeps you around. That you get to chat with your friends and hopefully have a shaded spot. That's another big improvement we're making this year because of the date change into July. We know it's going to be really hot, so we're working to have a big shade tent with table seating underneath it, and hopefully line up some misters or something just to make sure that people can get out of the heat and have a good long experience.
And for those of you who are listening and you're not familiar with Utah, which I don't know why you're listening, but anyway, we've got unique rules here when it comes to the whole beer situation at festivals. And so you have to plan ahead essentially, but you've got this, is this like a carryover license from previous years, or you have to go and get like a one-time deal for the festival?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for special events, you
Special events,
you
that's what it
you pull a different type of license
Okay.
than what you would if you were a brick and mortar business. Yeah. So
Okay.
we do have to pull a special event license for the DABS, as well as carry the insurance for alcohol. And so those are just some components that make. And then having the beer garden has to be completely fenced in. You have to have paid security. There's a lot of components that make it actually expensive for events to have an alcohol component to it. And then there's different permits that you pull, whether you're just doing beer, if you're doing beer and wine and cocktails. And so you do have to plan in advance, know what are you serving, what is that going to look like. If you have a VIP experience, what is that going to be, so that the DABS has all the information they need to approve your permit,
Yeah.
and then make sure that you have the security in place and the barricades system in place to help keep the beer drinkers in their boxes.
Reid,
Their pins.
Yeah,
In their pins,
Oh,
yes.
God. So, it's
But
so
a really
embarrassing.
big pin
Yeah.
for this one.
We know how it is.
No, we don't. Okay,
Yeah.
so a couple things. But one, Cecily, what's your role?
So I am the Community Partnerships Director at the Ogden Downtown Alliance. This is a new role, and we are looking to bring in funding. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit. There are 5 full-time staff members and 2 part-time. And these events, as we were just saying, can get really expensive. And they're magical, and they add so much vibrancy to our downtown community and really help us form our identity as Ogdenites. But they're pricey and they take a lot of work. So we are looking to form partnerships, whether that means organizations that are looking to come help us volunteer, or organizations that are looking to help create ideas and help us placemake, or organizations that have dollars to help us create the magic and be a part of something for the community. So my role is to find those community organizations and businesses that can help us facilitate these events and help us reach our goals so that we can continue putting on these amazing events for the community.
And what tie in how the events help the mission of ODA, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so at ODA, part of our mission is to support the Central Business District. And when we're looking at this large district of downtown businesses, a little over 600 businesses, we believe, we're helping bring people downtown. Reid earlier said butts and seats, but really it's feet on the streets.
Yeah.
We are, I made that up right there. Did you guys hear
No,
it?
we
Did you
need
catch
we
that?
need
That was-
t-shirts.
Feet
Yeah.
in the streets.
Feet
Okay,
in the
sorry,
streets.
I did that. Sorry.
Love it.
Sorry. But
Don't
really
be
it is-
sorry.
We'll allow one of those.
Okay, just one more.
There's one more coming.
But it's bringing the feeds to the streets.
Yes.
It's bringing
What we
people downtown and cultivating culture and community and creating a space for people to connect and to grow and to develop. So when I look at this role, I look at my 2 children. So I have a 5-year-old and I have a 1-year-old, and I'm helping build community for them. And when I look at ODA and our mission to support economic vitality and business in our downtown, but also bring vibrancy downtown, we're doing so through these events. So when you look at our all of our events, we're bringing over 300,000 people downtown and creating over $11.34 million in economic impact. And that's huge. And so creating these events helps us fulfill our mission of supporting local businesses and supporting placemaking and supporting arts and supporting artists and really creating that community.
Wow, nice
Yeah.
done. 2 months, huh?
Yeah, 2 months, guys.
Like, great elevator
Job.
pitch.
Yeah.
I approve.
You memorized the whole script. So good.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Well, we all read, Ogden, we're talking to you. We all read, this is coming from me if y'all disagree, that the community supports local business. They want to support the arts. And so what better way to do that than to support an event like the Arts Festival in all the different ways? But let's be honest, financially would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
That's the direction that
yeah.
we're trying to push just a little bit extra.
Yeah.
These events are really hard to put together, right? And I think that they have
And they're fun.
they're so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but they don't happen on their own. So they just need all the support. And attending is fantastic. That's the greatest thing ever. But it's everything beforehand to kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
A little extra support's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Reid, here's my dream. You're going to have to pull this off for me because no one's been able to do it yet. So,
All right, let's rise to the challenge.
let's rise to the challenge. Well, it's not your fault. It is the state that we live in and stuff. But I have family in Pensacola, and they do a First Friday Art Stroll situation. And you can explain how hard it is to shut down 25th Street in your answer. But they shut down a road called Halifax, and that's their 25th Street. And it goes, ours goes, if you're not familiar with Ogden, ours ends at the railroad station. And it goes up, and it's been there. It's historic. It's cool. It's got a story to tell. And their Halifax is the same thing, only theirs goes to the docks where the ships would come in and unload. The train would actually go down that street, and then they covered up. So now it's all restaurants and bars. Mm-hmm. And every First Friday, that road is closed, and they can bring the beer out to the street and serve the beer, and people walk around like adults, even though there's all ages of kids and everything there too. So the idea is that every First Friday from the Union Station all the way up. Now you can't close Washington Boulevard, but then whatever this extension would be called up to this light or whatever, past the Monarch building is effing closed, so that vendors can line up on the streets every First Friday, and we can walk around with a beer and not have to you know what I'm saying? This is the dream of First Friday in Ogden, and I don't know why. I know there's state rules for adult beverages, but also they're shutting down the road. So but you do it every weekend. All the time. So what would that entail to make something like that happen for First Fridays?
That is a really good question. Well, I'll address the alcohol side first because that's the easy answer, and then the other part's a little harder. It's not a fun answer, but an easy answer. So, on the alcohol permit side, the reason why there's beer at Harvest Moon and there's not at the farmers market or other events is because that same beer barricade garden we were talking about at Arts Festival has to pop up out on 25th Street as well. And so securing a perimeter where people can't leave the space when it is kind of a public open space has some challenges to it, as well as the added expense of once you introduce alcohol, you introduce security, you introduce more barricades, you introduce more risk, more safety concerns, more permits, more expenses. So that makes, particularly in Utah,
so you'd have to have a shutdown road, but you'd have to have a beer garden at both ends. You couldn't do it on the whole street. You couldn't just walk them down.
You can, and that's how Harvest Moon is you can walk. That's the only day of the year that you can have beer out on 25th Street.
Okay.
But in order to do that, anywhere that there's a break within the buildings, we have to put barricades and have security watch those barricades so that people don't jump and leave with their beverages outside of the event perimeter.
Because nobody drinks outside of the perimeter is what we're saying.
No. It stays in the perimeter.
In the perimeter.
Like Jurassic Park or something.
Yeah.
In the perimeter. Yeah.
So there is the ability, and I have seen some events do this, but as a beer consumer myself, I don't particularly like it, where they have one area that's a beer garden and it's not the entire event.
Yeah.
Because you kind of feel corralled. Yes. You feel like you're
100%.
You're in a dog park, on your leash, drinking your beer, and you can't actually engage in the community. And so it's
like the heathens zone or something.
Yeah.
It's not.
And it's usually
weird.
never shaded, and you're out in the sun, and you're like, oh, I feel awkward. So, that could be a potential in the future where it is a little bit easier if you're controlling it within a smaller footprint of that beer. But it's got to be an experience in itself in order for people to really want to, buy a beverage and consume it and hang out. And people do really want to walk the street. So there's a little bit of a perception difference there. So that's some of the challenges on the beer side. But on the, in terms of how often can we close the street and what's the impact on stakeholders, is there's a lot of different needs that we manage as a downtown alliance and a lot of different groups that we represent and that we listen to. So one of the biggest ones is those businesses that are paying rent to be, have their brick and mortar businesses right there on 25th Street. Some of them see, closing the street in the evenings as a net positive for their businesses, and others see it as a net negative because it takes away parking. It takes away the easy access to the front of their storefronts. And so so, managing what's the best decision for the community, but what's the best decision for our small business community.
Once a month, people.
Once a month maybe could be something different. And honestly, it would be securing buy-in and funding in order to do it, because it takes, you can't really, it's not a great volunteer experience to say, hey, go close Washington Boulevard, or, close this major street if you're not used to getting yelled at by drivers and traffic control. And I mean, you wouldn't believe how many people or how many times I've had to put myself in front of a moving vehicle just at the farmer's market because they'll drive right past the road closure sign.
No, they don't care. Yeah, they
don't care.
Yeah.
So human safety is really a big thing that we focus on. And so once you also introduce a night event and it's dark out, then the risk is higher for police support. And so it's, can be a draw.
I would even be okay with 6 months, because obviously the other 6 months of the year, the weather's a problem.
Yeah.
But even just the summer months would be awesome.
I agree. I'm always open to dialoguing ideas and seeing, maybe something didn't work 10 or 15 years ago, but can we make it work today?
Yeah.
But it's got to match with the funding side in order to pull off.
Yeah, because you guys, OTA closes, in the mornings on a Saturday, and it's pretty early, but it goes
5 a.m.
Goes till noon, 11.
So the market's 8 to 1.
Closed?
So the market's 8 to 1, but our team is there from 5 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. Okay. So it's a 10 and a half, 11-hour day.
And then OCA had the road out here closed for their event. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they had to do. So even if it's like a partnership thing where like you guys do that side, OCA does this side, and together we win.
Yeah. I like the way you're looking at this. Basically, what you're saying is nothing is impossible.
Right. We got to put our damn heads together and figure it out.
Certain people might think that, well, it's always been, so it will always be, but that is not necessarily the case.
Okay. It's so true. And
you're telling me there's a chance?
Well, I think there's always a chance. It's going to be it's going to be some hard work.
As long as you don't ask me to close Washington Boulevard once a month, because that is a whole nother, that's a
no, that's impossible.
Road. That's a whole nother ball wax.
There's no way you're going to have to cross that street.
Yeah.
It's just too big of a thoroughfare or whatever.
Totally.
And I don't think you'd ever cross or closed wall either, right? Like
no.
Yeah.
No. The only time that wall, as far as I'm aware, the only times that wall is closed is like major events like the big centennial celebration a couple of years ago in 2019.
Train stuff will shut this city down. Yeah.
And like parades and things like that where it makes sense to close those roads, but they're pretty expensive permits to pull because they're state highways. And then there's also additional signage that people don't think about. It's not just, and the police support and the demand on our community resources that takes police and fire and all of that away from their normal duties.
We want to make it simple, so keep all.
It's got to be simple.
Here's a good reminder as well. This is coming from Banyan. This is not coming from OTA. This is just my observation from 2002, right? So we had the Olympics in 2002. When people came to visit, you'd think that it was Las Vegas. People were drinking in the streets, essentially. The liquor laws were loose. They got rid of private clubs. It was like it never was.
We're still here, too, by the way. We survived.
Now, a lot of that, of course, immediately snapped back to, more or less the way it was before. But when the cameras of the world were on us, boy, you'd think that we were Las Vegas. We were your Pensacola.
Vegas North.
I'm just saying that don't give up altogether when it comes to certain things.
We just have to
always
be yes, because we have to be creative in Utah because we're dealing with rules that prohibit some of this stuff, but we just have to figure that out, how to work around that and
totally
not around with
the
state of Utah.
Yeah, and work with our city and with our community partners and with all of the stakeholders that have differing opinions. To some degree, I think a lot of what the great things that have happened in Ogden and in our community are because people are willing to come together and work together and solve problems that people didn't think could be solved, or maybe can't be solved by one organization, but by three of them together can be. I think there's always opportunity to explore new ideas and new ways. And I know there's been conversations on what does the future 25th Street look like even in the next 10 years on, is it more pedestrian focused, more outdoor seating focused? And those are long-term plans that the seeds need to start somewhere. They need to germinate. They need to take 10, 15 years maybe to get off the ground. But I think this, the Olympics coming in now 9 years it gives us a time frame to work within, right? You can conceptualize what do we want our community to be 9 years from now.
Okay, I want Cecily to answer that because you're talking. It's the kids. You got the kids. Like, what are they gonna? What when they're 25 and 30? What's 25th Street gonna look like? And you're brain?
You know, I'd love to see 25th Street just continue to evolve and grow. I'd love to see diversity when it comes to the business mix downtown. I love to look at Farmers Market and how it's grown over the years, and it's now extending down the street. And truly, you can go to Farmers Market to do your grocery shopping. I love the local community. So I'd love to see it continue to evolve and continue to grow into an even more inclusive and inviting space. I'd love to see everyone welcome and everyone holding hands, feet's in the streets.
Yep.
No, but I'd really just like to see it continue to evolve on the path it is. And I would like to see more collaboration with everyone, because I think that as we continue to work together and look at what is this vision for Ogden and what is this vision for our growth and our community and our trajectory, I think it will take all of us. But I think we're on a really good path. And I would just like to continue to see that evolve. And I would like it to be as magical for my children in 25 years when they're introducing it to their children as it is now.
Wow, nicely done. I like that answer. And let's not forget, I'm going to bring it back to the Olympics again, because working and living in, working down in Salt Lake City, that's the conversation right now, is that if you were around pre-Olympics, let's say 10 years before the Olympics, the last ones, right? We did collectively in the state, and obviously around certain areas in particular, about, let's just say 25 years worth of work in about 8 years, right?
Yeah.
It was an incredible wish list of things that the state has wanted forever. And it all happened in like 9 years, right?
'Cause it had
So
to.
now is a
There's a
really
deadline.
good time
Yeah.
to start really digging in and thinking about, if you are in the position to really what I've always wanted. Well, the cameras of the world are going to be on Utah very soon.
Yeah.
Start thinking about what you'd like to see. Some of those decisions are starting to already be made. But that being said, take advantage of this opportunity, Utah. No joke. It's a really good time to think big.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And let your voice be heard, when there's community feedback meetings and planning sessions and things it feels really far off of what is Ogden going to be 10 years from now or 50 years from now. But, like you said, decisions are being made now. Some of these things take a long time to do. And, I'll say Visit Ogden has already started spearheading an Olympic readiness committee for our community. And we're already meeting about it. We're already talking about what does that mean to Ogden? What do we want our identity to be? What events are we going to host in downtown Ogden during that time? How are we going to connect people from Snow Basin and see that synergistic energy that, Snow Basin is Ogden. It's just on the other side of the mountain. Yeah. And that, this is the downtown area where you get some of that heart and culture while you're here experiencing the Olympic events. So we're talking about it now, and we want to, anybody who's a community leader, a community organizer really wants to hear feedback from the community on what can we do to honor that lasting legacy that 2002 Olympics brought of the infrastructure that was built that is continuing to still be used today and be honored today, and not just a single-use space, but a space that's built for the Olympics, but really built for the community to see in perpetuity from there. And so those conversations are starting and working on the state level as well as locally here in our community, and we want to see that all come together.
One word that brought together all of Ogden, every age of Ogden, and that is curling.
Car show?
So I don't know if you guys remember curling.
Curling.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Curling up at the ice sheet. I am not kidding you. Like, I remember I was working at a restaurant
That's
at the
so
time,
true.
and it's on every television. I mean, people got hardcore into curling because it was our own.
Yeah.
And it's such an amazing, ridiculous thing, know? And so I think that I had such a good time during the Olympics. I still think back on it. I had such an incredible time. And so I am going to have the best time in 34. I just know I'm going to. But I think collectively, these are the things that we can really kind of start focusing on, because, I've seen it. We've all seen it happen. Like, Ogden really does come together. It was curling in this one case.
I know,
But
it's weird. You know what would be cool, Todd?
I'm ready.
It's like this thing that goes from Weber State up the mountain to Snow Basin, that like a gondola.
Are we going to start this conversation again? Yeah, we haven't had that conversation before. It's too late for the trolleys, dude. We can't do the trolleys. We already have the electric buses. It already happened, dude.
Okay, fine.
Pick a new argument.
Okay. Well, Reide, Cecily, thanks so much for coming on the program. Your energy is, I mean, you're enthusiastic and I love it. I mean, it's there, which is part of eventing.
We can't wait to see you in 3 months.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I know.
But I'm laughing at you saying our energy because we've been up for 76 hours straight
Hell yeah.
planning.
Don't
the
even
event.
know.
I don't know where
We
I'm at
wouldn't know.
right now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we'll be definitely a fun sight to see 3 months from now.
Yeah.
But every time, this is really the hardest time. And then we were just, I was just telling our team this in a team meeting yesterday. Like, this is the time when you're kind of in that 2 month out, 90-day period where it's the hardest because you're in the thick of it. You're organizing all the details, and you don't get to experience that happy dopamine hit of actually seeing the event come together. And so this is the hard time where everything's coming into place. You have all of that anxiety of what can we pull off. You haven't written off like, nope, we're not doing that this year. It still is like, ooh, maybe if we find the right opportunity. And so this is the hard point. And then once you get a little bit closer, that just the adrenaline kicks in, the energy kicks in, and you're really just ready to see it all come together. And I mean, event days are absolutely my favorite days. There's
Same.
nothing better.
How long do you rest? Like 24 hours after? Like, what's your... Did you take a week off? Like, what's the plan?
It depends. I think something that's also another, one of those misconceptions about events is that once it's done, you can just check out for a week and not come back. But there's a lot of post-event work that has to happen pretty immediately. And so I would say it's at least 48 hours to a week after the event before you can really start to take a couple steps down and really relax and sleep for 48 hours
Y'all
straight.
are some special people. Like, this is
We're a special brand of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It's it's fun. And I used to be a part of it in some way with when I worked at the shop. But I also, like, I MC finish lines of events, start lines of some events. And I see, like, these event directors, these race directors. I'm like, dear goodness, they're so stressed. Like, they don't sleep, so, and they love it. They love it. They do it again the next year or the next, like it's a thing. So
It absolutely is.
And that's the catch right there. When it's year-round programming, with the Arts Council down in Salt Lake, for instance, like, there is no, like, I wrapped up with, it's a really big event, right?
Yeah.
This big conference.
You relax for like an hour.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't even think there was an hour.
Shit.
And so, I mean, it goes seamlessly, if not seamlessly, because this event actually put me back a little bit to where I should be for the next event. And so I'm actually making up time from the previous event. I mean, I'd still love the game. Like, I still love what I do, and I'm still very fortunate to be able to do it. But it's a continuous deal. There's no getting off the hamster wheel. Like, it's just, we make sure and have fun along the way.
Oh, yeah.
Because the weeks off don't necessarily happen all the time. Yeah.
I forgot. You guys need to mention that you're still accepting applications for musicians, I think.
We are still seeking some performers. And we will have spots at Harvest Moon Celebration as well.
Good. Okay.
So, so definitely.
Where do they jump in on that?
Keep an eye on our social media for any of that information. You can also find it on our website. But anytime that we are in need of volunteers, performers, food trucks, vendors, you will see some outreach on our social media and on our website.
Perfect. Yeah. Ogden Downtown Alliance. Is it .org?
OgdenDowntown.com.
OgdenDowntown.com. Okay. Sweet.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, you two. Appreciate it. That was really good. You have so much information to take in. That's great. Todd, you rapped, like you mentioned.
But I have my next exhibition at Finch Lane Gallery.
It never stops.
Opens on Friday.
What?
Yep. So it opens on Friday. So the installation is happening now. Hence my vital lettering guy that I had to orchestrate while we were doing.
Had to step out. Yep.
And so that's being installed tonight, essentially. And so it is 2 more amazing shows. If you could see the gallery space right now, one of them is still entirely full of boxes of ceramic work. Right. And so
to be shipped
on Saturday and on Monday, we spent essentially the entire day boxing up this really fragile stuff. And so it all needs to get shipped out.
Yeah.
And so we're actually installing the next show around the periphery of the boxes that still need to go out to UPS.
Yeah.
etc. And so, anyway, a group show. There is a woman named Roxanne Gray that put together an amazing show called Nepantla. And so that's 14 artists. And then in our West Gallery is a young emerging artist named Madeline Zundel, really amazing paintings. And so if you're available, and if you remember, Salt Lake City's Gallery Stroll is every third Friday. So that's happening this coming Friday. Otherwise, you can come check us out Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Tuesday night. I want to tell you one other thing real quick. And so I just had a meeting today from 3 to 5. There is a new project that's happening downtown Salt Lake, the Rio Grande. So essentially our old train station down there. And so they're developing this whole area. But I had a chance after, and it was very quickly. So I'm going to set up a longer meeting with him. And so guess who's moving to downtown Salt Lake City? It's a little group called USA Climbing.
What?
Relocating to downtown Salt Lake
Yes,
City.
because I want to say the CEO is in town or something.
Well, guess who I chatted with was the president and CEO
Let's see.
of USA Climbing. And so
What?
this is going to be a massive thing. So anyway, keep an eye out for this Rio Grande area. At some point,
That's amazing.
I'm going to steal my new buddy at USA Climbing.
Yeah.
But it's going to become like the destination facility for climbing in America.
Wow.
Right. So how cool is that?
No, that's amazing.
Thought
very
you'd dig
cool.
that. Yeah.
That's wild. Good job, Todd.
Thanks. That just
Making
happened.
connections.
It helps saying hi to every freaking person you meet. Hey, I'm Todd.
I've heard that's a thing. Hey, I'm Todd. I'm gonna that shirt. Hey, I'm Todd. Thank you to Banyan One. That's his trailer here for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show, the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. Listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We have a website as well. It's banyancollective.com and on the Podbean app for Android and iPhones. If you want to be on the program, DM me or email me. That works too. At Ogden Adventure. If you found value in this podcast, which I know you did, give us all your money at Banyan, or it's buymeacoffee.com/Banyan Media. You can set up a little thing and it just goes out of your bank account into ours. It's the coolest thing.
If you know where our studio is, you could just slide some bills under the door.
Yes. I
any
can't tell you
number
how
of
many
ways.
times I've walked in just dollar bills under the door.
It's a lot of pennies.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of.
A little awkward, but we'll take it. So this week on Van Sessions, it is Atlas Lane. So we'll leave you with that. Thanks for being here during this episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. Cheers.
This morning they told me to live well. Lately I've been way with worries, I can't even sit still. Only skims and advertisers blowing on my email. Everybody retail, struggling my packaging, establishing an image that I hate. Habiting advantages, I'm planning my escape. I'll burn through every cabinet if I can have my plate. My mentality's so flammable, the ashes all I taste. With the hand of privilege, I've been in this mentality since I was just a naming kid with no ambition. Mission is the same, I see the road ahead is different. Will never split my lips and pay a service to the system. Don't care about a person, they didn't print and press a version. Pages, pages out the world we live in, rid me of my bad intentions. Get these to the same, I wanna apologize. Call it like I'm wanting till I fall in place and harmonize. Oftentimes I feel it's all on waste. Also I consider how my family say my place. Turning sweet from bitterness, I know I gotta live. But my sister hugs me tighter than before I got a taste of any worldly thing. There's a world to see. Ain't no purchase, ain't no peace of mind. But you can keep a peace of mind. I love you with a certainty. I know it ain't the perfectly, but everything you want, go try to earn it. Please lead the light. Even I've been watching lately, smoking in the cemetery, waiting for coming to pay. Oh, my kids don't wanna play, scared to pop daisies. Where my mind get hazy. Even I've been watching lately, smoking in the cemetery, waiting for coming to pay. Oh, my kids don't wanna play, scared to pop daisies. Where my mind get hazy. answer to my former self. Let go of my pride and put in overtime to override. Feel the chip inside my shoulder, only to immortalize the purest portion of me, show only how my soul's designed. But I see myself with open eyes, I overdose on emotion in 17, so no one hold me right. I close the blinds, I know I wasn't coping like they hoped I would. They know I'm high, falling out the door, I click the open sign. Either I've been watching lately, smoking in the cemetery, but if I cover the bed, who might get someone to play sketch park with daisies? When my maggot haze. Either I've been watching lately, smoking in the cemetery, but if I cover the bed, who might get someone to play sketch park with daisies? When my maggot hazy.
Atlas Lane on Van Sessions.